And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. Uh, Another absolutely sensational guest on the Howard Eskin Show on this, as we're live on Saturday morning. And obviously, you can watch it forever and ever going forward. And I want to also tell you our presenting sponsor, and I'm happy to do this. Our presenting sponsor is Stillwell Financial Advisors. Any wealth that you might have, and and there's people out there that got some wealth and got some money. If you want to invest it, Jeff Stillwell is the guy. He really does know his stuff. And I've told you that in talking to him, I learned a lot, and you can, and he can do great things with your wealth. Just he's a regular guy. Just get in touch with him. 732-343-0813. That's 732-343-0812. And obviously, I also want to welcome our other partners and sponsors, Piazza, Piazza Piazza Property Pros. Cut the cord with Jason and Audi of Westchester. All right, let me tell you a little about the show. There's so many things to talk about today, and Frank Caliendo is our guest. Frank Caliendo's our guest. Charles Barkley's our guest. Allen Iverson's our guest. John Crude's our guest. Well, sort of. We'll get into that. Frank is sensational. I just always get a kick whenever I see him, and even when I watch the clips of Frank. It's really fun, and I'm sure he's got some good things for us today. But what I want to do is also congratulate the winner of the pair of Oakley sunglasses from the last show, who answered the question correctly. And the question was, to win the glasses with Andrea Kramer. Question was, when she was inducted into the National Sports Writers Hall of Fame, who was the presenter? And that was her son. And the winner was, do we have the winner up there, Joe? There we go. James LaFrida. James, congratulations, James. You won a pair of wonderful Oakley sunglasses. All right, let me talk about our partners right now, our sponsors, and they've been great partners, and that's why I want to talk about them. Cut the cord with Jason, who offers an incredible service that will save you money. He'll come out to your house, cut off the cable because you spend too much on cable. We all do. Sign up with less expensive internet service with a streaming service, which includes your local and national channels. You'll get all the Philadelphia Pro games. And if you have a second home, that's part of the package. Jason can set up you with one monthly TV bill for both houses. For more information and to save lots of money, what you got to do is call Jason, 215-801-5858. That's 215-801-5858. Also, it's that time of the year. It's getting warmer. Don't wait. Piazza Property Pros. They're experts. Building pools, renovating pools, taking care of your property, landscaping, whatever it is, hardscaping, whatever it is. Piazza Property Pros with 25 years of experience. And that's the important thing. They don't subcontract. It's their people, whether it's landscape, pool maintenance. You can absolutely trust Piazza Property Pros to deliver exceptional results, and they can do it within your budget. Here's a number for them, 610-566-2608. You can schedule a free consultation. Call today, 610-566-2608. Let Piazza Property Pros do what you want to do to make your summer more fun. And you want to drive in really a fine, great car from terrific people. You can experience luxury at Audi Westchester. Their all new facility, state of the art equipment, and Westchester's goal is to make buying or leasing a new Audi as simple as possible. Pressure free sales environment, no tariffs. They've got sales going on the Q5 hybrid, the A5, all kinds of things. And because Westchester Audi is part of the Mainline Automotive Group, you'll have access to the largest selection of new and pre-owned Audi vehicles. That's in the tri-state area. Stop by Audi Westchester, located 1421 Wilmington Pike, or visit AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. All right. Uh, I got some other things that I want to deal with. JJ Redick, he's the smartest. I just want to let you know. JJ Redick's the smartest guy in the room. It doesn't matter what room he's in. We'll deal with that later. LaFraud James, we'll deal with LaFraud James later. And Bill Belichick. That story will never die because he looked like such a smacked ass and so pathetic. It's a joke. But our guest is and I whenever I see him, I always have fun talking to him. And obviously, he does a lot of things, a lot of appearances, and we'll run those down. Frank Caliendo. Frank, as we speak, good morning. How are you this fine day, Frank?
I'm doing slightly above average, Howard. The idea of a podcast to me is you can do it whenever you want, and you have chosen to do it 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. There's Howard Eskin for you in a nutshell. But knowing you all these years and everything we've talked about over the years, I'm in Arizona. I almost said Alabama. That's how good my education level is. I'm in Arizona 3 hours earlier, so I'm up in the 5 o'clock hour on West Coast time just for you. So
You know what, Frank? Here's why I do it. Okay, I was on the radio at 8 o'clock on Saturday. One of the times I was on the radio was 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and when I left, people said, "We're going to miss you." It just WIP is not the same without you. So I do it at 8 o'clock. Do I really need to do it at 8 o'clock? I'm just trying to help the folks. I'm
right,
just trying to make them happy.
it's always about the people for you. And how early do you have to get up to get your hair ready? That's what I. My goodness.
Hey, wait a minute! I didn't go to sleep. I started before I
Oh,
passed
okay.
by the sleep, so I could have a lot of time to get my hair.
Okay.
Here's
Well, it
the
looks
good thing.
great.
Here's the good thing about and my father had a lot of hair. I, knock on wood, have not lost my hair, so I got a lot of hair. So I got a lot to deal with. And by the way, just to let you know, I'm getting a haircut in 2 days from now. Because I got to keep it within reason so it
Real
doesn't
tight.
take me
Yeah.
hours.
Well, I'll tell you, the other thing is when I first logged on to the streaming, app, or whatever. The funny thing is, you're down looking at notes or something, and all I saw was hair. So it wasn't even your face. I thought I was doing the show with just your hair. So
Well, it's all part of it.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
listen,
yeah.
that's part of my personality, part of my glamour, whatever. I'm not as good looking as you, but you know what?
well, well, see, it's funny because people keep that know, and this is gonna this, they keep people who I know. I'm trying to couch this correctly because I'll get crushed if I say it in the wrong way. But they keep saying I remind them of Matt Damon, and I'm like, yeah, Fat Damon, is that who it is? So I couldn't. I was like, I've lost like I don't know 40, 50 pounds. But still, I wish I had the Matt Damon look. But even people who know him pretty well, like, man, you're kind of like him. Your whole the way you act. I was like, well, I'd take him being him over me any day of the week. So there you
Well,
go.
I'm telling you, every movie I see him in is sensational. Uh, Long, long, long time ago, 40 years ago, I guess he was kind of starting. I actually met him because he came and did a show at Channel 3 where I was working at the time. But he has gone a lot. But I'll say this is about you. You are better at what you do, and he's better at what he does. So he couldn't do what you do, and you can't do what he does.
Well, you
So
know what? See, I couldn't act that well. He's an incredible actor, but he does quite a few impressions. I mean, he's got a great
really,
voice for that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he actually can do what I do, and I can't do what he does. I can do at a certain level. I can do 50%. He could probably do 70%. I could probably do 40% of what he does, and he could probably do about 90% of what I do. He's a really good mimic.
Uh,
So.
uh, Frank, have I know you've done a lot of TV shows. Have you ever done any kind of bits in movies? Have you done
Yeah, I've been in a
anything?
couple movies, but people always they want to change whatever is written for me to. I did a movie called the Comebacks, which they had me as an announcer, and it was a voiceover. It was like a sports movie, a football movie, but was like airplane, those kinds of jokes, like Naked Gun type of stuff. and they had me as the announcer, and it came in the voiceover for the championship game, and you hear Al Michaels and John Madden, unbelievable what we have going on here tonight, John. Yeah, and you take a look and it cuts to me, and I'm just doing all the voices myself. So that was one. I've done a couple other little things. A lot of times, a few times I've gotten cut from movies and stuff like that. So, but I don't like the audition process. It's just you go in or you put it on tape and you spend all this time and they might look at it. You spend 2 days memorizing, trying to learn something, get a character, and they might look at it for 5 seconds. I'm like, it's just, I don't know. I can't put that kind of time into something. So I have worked on the acting and stuff like that, but I haven't really pushed that hard. And it's better to be in LA. I live in Phoenix, so that
Mm,
that goes against me a little bit, but and at the height when I had a lot of stuff going on, when I had my TV and stuff, this show and things, they wanted me to audition for a lot more, and I was like,
mhm.
and I would have had a better chance at getting stuff at that point. I was in really in the focus of people. But I was like, I want to be good at this. I'm trying to be good at this one TV show thing. And that's not the way Hollywood works. It's like, let's take on as many things as
Yeah.
possible. And then that's just not how I operate. I struggle to be good at one thing. I don't want to try and do 50 things and then just be awful at everything because I'm a pretty harsh critic of myself. I mean, people will come after me and be like, that sucked. I'm like, I know, but I got to put something out. So that's the way it is.
You know what? I've been in a couple of B movies, so nothing crazy. I don't even know how that happened. And here's my bucket list, and this is you're gonna think this is ridiculous. I'm a big fan of Law and Order of the
Oh, no,
TV
no, I
series.
loved it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I wish my
I
life
want to
had
be
those
in
type.
it. That's my
Well, I
bucket
wish
list.
I
I'll
got a
be.
feeling you got a chance on on either end. I'm just waiting for a boom, boom, and then it just changes scenes. So that's you saying it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And it couldn't have been me. I was getting my hair cut. Right. Okay, Howard.
Well, I'll do anything. I'll be a homeless
Wait.
person. I'll be. I don't want to be a rapist. I say that obviously. Whatever they want me to do,
Well,
whatever they want me to.
you have a persona. I mean, you're actually you're I don't want to again, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I think of you as like going at people just hard, and that's easy to write for. You're doing the opposite with me right now, so I'm worried about it's the calm before the storm. But it it's it's easy, and you have the look. You have a look and a point of view, and those two things when they're together really I just find you could find spots for somebody who has that. That's the casting it. For me, it's like, what does Frank do? Does he do people know me for all these impressions, but that's because I hone in on other people's persona as opposed to what mine is. And really your life, you just pick a character in that you want your own life to be. You know who yours is. It's bold and strong. And mine is like, man, I don't know.
Well, they've had in Law and Order. They've had people that I know who. There was a sportscaster from New York. Players. Joe Piscopo actually had a serious role in a couple of Law and Orders, which you never think of Joe Piscopo as being in a serious role. But that's my bucket list as Law and Order.
Yeah.
But all right, so here, Frank, what you do is entertain people, and you're an entertainer, you're a comedian, I mean, you entertain people, and people need to laugh every once in a while. But how, you know, impersonations, we all at one time impersonate somebody. There was a broadcaster here by the name of Bill Campbell, who did every sport. May he rest in peace. And I knew Bill actually early in my career. I did stats for him when he did the Sixers games because I just wanted to get into sports. But I would try to imitate Bill Campbell. Oh baby, oh baby, oh my, oh me, oh my. Now you don't know Bill Campbell, but Bill was just crazy. But how did you get into it, and how did you develop so many impersonations?
Well, I went to school for broadcast journalism. First of all, I went to school at the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really wanted to be a guest on talk shows, and I got to that pretty early, getting on like Letterman and
Mhm.
Leno and stuff like that. So uh how did I get into stand up? I was about to graduate and I was like, I really don't know. I don't want to go to Eau Claire, Wisconsin and be interviewing the local dog catcher, something like that. Something simple. That's not really what I wanted to do, because you have to work your way up. You don't start at the top.
Right.
You start out doing these lower end types of things. So I was like, I don't know. So I went to a comedy sports class, which was an improv class, and about a week in, they're like, you know what? You should do stand up. I'm like, does that mean I suck at improv? They're like, no, just on the side when you're doing these impressions and things, it's just there's more of that for stand up. And I was like, okay. So I got into that. And I was doing like weird ones at the time, like Tony Danza, Jonathan Samantha, Mona. So I was doing these voices, and I would pick up on little things like when I would watch Who's the Boss. Tony Danza would talk at that voice, Jonathan Samantha Mona. But when somebody came from the old neighborhood, the Italian neighborhood, he'd be like, Mrs. Rossini. So suddenly he turned into Super Mario. So those were the types of observations I was making. Robin Williams was a big one. Was like, oh my God, who knew? What an amazing thing. And nobody was doing any of this type of stuff at the time. So I was like, why not just try my hand at this, give it a shot? I had my degree in broadcast journalism, and I got out there and started. I was 22 years old. I got out in the clubs a little bit, and then a college agent by the name of Joey Edmonds saw me, and he's like, "We need to get you on the college circuit." And that's how he kind of talked. So it was like, um, I got out on that, and being 22 years old, I was perfect, the perfect age. I was only a little bit older than the kids I was performing for. I knew all the references, because at a certain point with colleges, you get a little too old, and they start looking at you like you're one of their parents, and that's never good. So unless you're a superstar, I mean, Kevin Hart could go wherever he wanted to do anything because he's that much of a star. But so I came up and was just doing that. Now, as far as going back and doing impressions, just that before the job element of it, I think it was like every kid, just doing Muppet voices. I can Kermit the Frog here, that kind of thing. Fozzie Bear, ah, waka waka waka. So I could do a little bit more, and they've gotten better over time. But I would do impressions of friends and teachers, and I grew up playing baseball. I was my dad was a minor league baseball player in the White Sox organization. He played for the Sarasota Sun Sox. I think he went to spring training 3 times. He grew up in Illinois. He was born in Chicago, went to Triton Junior College in Eastern Illinois. And if you Google his name, his batting average comes up in the minor leagues. I think it's probably like 200, euchre level there, somewhere 189. But a self-taught guy playing baseball, played middle infield, probably should have been a second baseman, but they had him at shortstop and third because he was quick. So growing up, we would, we emulate our parents playing wiffle ball in the backyard, and I grew up, baseball was our thing. In fact, in 1988, my 14 and under baseball team won the 1988 14 and under National AAU Championship in Urbandale, Iowa. And it was the first Wisconsin team, but we had a sister team that was the 18 and under team. That was the Wisconsin Dukes. And on the Wisconsin Dukes, they had a fairly decent player by the name of Craig Counsell. So that was pretty. My brother used to throw Craig batting practice all the time. We worked at a place called Mike Hegan's Grand Slam in
Jeez.
yeah, you remember Mike Hegan, and he did color analysis for the Cleveland Indians, and
Yep.
his dad played, I believe, for the Oakland A's, Jim Hegan. So I mean, so we baseball was the thing. We played basketball and football. I actually tore my ACL as a running back in as my freshman year. So I got the Al Bundy story as well. But yeah, I mean, just for me, when I was a catcher, I would talk to the hitters. I'd be behind the plate, and there were I would do Saturday Night Live characters and stuff like that. I didn't have my own impressions, but I would do impressions of the umpire or the pitcher or friends or whatever, and just try and make the hitters laugh and throw them off and try and win the umpires over and get extra strikes called. So that was the route. That was my first audience, was being a catcher and talking to the back because they couldn't leave. Right.
Well, when you think about at the beginning of our careers, and we're talking about your career now, there's things that you think about and you want to take a shot, and there's no reward without risk. And the first impression that you did was who, and were you worried that you'd be what you wanted to be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I didn't even know what I wanted to be. I had no clue. So I just kind of went into this blindly and having no idea. Now, nobody was really doing impressions at the time. You see tons of it on the internet now, but Saturday Night Live was the only place. And then Mad TV came along. There were some other sketch shows. But I had no direction. I just was like, hey, I'll try this. Now, as far as the impressions I would do or mimicry, like I said, it was friends. But if I was doing famous people, I would watch Saturday Night Live characters, and then in living color, watching Damon Wayans do the "Excuse me, can I ask you a couple questions?" like his Anton. My name is Anton. I'm a victim of society and an entertainer. So there was that in the Fire Marshal Bill. Let me show you something. So I would watch those and Dana Carvey characters and impressions that were over the top and caricatures. So I would do that kind of stuff in school. I went to school at University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. So I'd say the first impression I did was Jay Leno. I looked into a mirror, jutted out my chin, and was like, "Hey, I would like some nacho cheese flavored Doritos. Crunch I want. Well, make more. Me, me, me." Turned into Beaker from the Muppet Show, but it was that, and then the Madden thing came along. Just watching, playing video games was part of it. I think when you would turn on the original Madden games, I think if I remember this correctly, John Madden said, "Welcome to John Madden football." And I was like, well, everybody's seeing this. So that's something I could eventually do. And then I believe Summerall would call the kick Vinatieri back to kick. So I would watch those things and listen to that. And that kind of came in later as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I was in school at University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. I was like, wait, well, this sports thing, nobody's really doing any impressions in sports nationally. I think people do them locally, but there weren't these podcast platforms and there wasn't really any place to do. So I was like, I'll start doing this. And the Madden thing really started taking off. I did that Tony Danza. Like I said, I did some Chris Farley. Okie dokie, here we go. The Robin Williams. But then when the Madden thing started coming along, I just thought, well, that seemed like a good bit to do. And with John Madden, I could explain things. I actually had
Hmm.
another comedian named John Caponera is like, explain the jokes as John Madden. So I was like, I went from just going, here's a guy who, when he puts his contacts in, he can see better, to see the reason that joke didn't work there is Frank was trying to get you to think about this, but he didn't set up that well. And then boom, that's where the joke was supposed to be. And then I turned it into the Madden Summerall bit, which was Summerall never talked. Madden did all the talking, or a lot of the talking. Summerall just did the phrases that to the 20, to the 25. There's a flag on the play. And if the referee, if he throws a flag and he didn't make a mistake, there's probably going to be a penalty. And that stuff just kind of took off. I mean,
Well, you know what? I'm getting a lot of comments here, and John Madden is the one, and you probably hear this, the one impression that really got you rolling in the minds of people. Obviously you've
yes.
talked about doing other things, but your John Madden is terrific. I mean,
And nobody
uh,
was really doing it. There might have been somebody doing it locally. I'd never heard it really done. I mean, I think people tried it. Um, but for me to have the bit and then put it on TV, this was back when if you put it on TV, nobody else would try something. If you did an impression, you kind of owned it, and that there's nothing like that anymore. So my goal was just to get the Madden impression on early, and the way I got it on was Jimmy Kimmel was doing the pregame show at Fox, and he was looking for a bit to do something about John Madden. Now he had heard about me, and again, the internet wasn't even around. There was email, but nobody had any video of any. That wasn't
right.
nothing was being shared or passed around. This was around 2001, 2000 ish, maybe 2000, yeah, 2002 maybe. So somewhere in there. And he had a guy who did a John Madden, Jimmy Kimmel did, which was me, and then the his producer had somebody that did a John Madden, and they were fighting it out to see whose John Madden was going to get on. And guess what? I was both of them. So it turns out they were fighting both over me, and they go, "What's your guy's name?" Frank Caliendo. Oh, that's my guy's name. So I was the guy doing it on both ends. So we took a what happened was that we did Madden for president. It was a presidential election, and I don't remember what the joke was, but at the end of it, Jimmy Kimmel goes, "Let me fix that." He goes, those eyebrows, Mr. Madden, they're driving me crazy. Let me fix those for you." And he comes over with a pair of hedge clippers and cuts the eyebrows. And after that bit, Madden came in the next week with his eyebrows trimmed after 25 years of never having the eyebrows trimmed. That changed everything. And John Madden did not take to me well. He was kind of like, "Who is
Really?
this guy? What's he doing?" Yeah, he didn't like me for the longest time. I talk about it in my act. I met him at the Super Bowl in Dallas. It was Steelers Packers, and I met him at Dallas. It
I
was the
was
Four
there.
Seasons.
I've been to 42 of them, so I was there.
Well,
Yeah.
so I was there. I was there. I was actually in Jerry Jones's suite. They were supposed to put me between Madden and George W. Bush, but Jerry Johnson was sitting between them. And if you remember, the Packers got out to a big lead, and they were going to put me in to fill time. And then the game it started. The Steelers started coming back, so Jerry went back to sit down. But all that time with Jerry Jones in the middle and Madden and George W. Bush, which was my a huge other impersonation for me. Those two, I could have gone in there and done a bunch of like voiceover stuff or just talk to both of them as themselves. So those are one of those moments. I'm just sitting in the back. I'm past the Secret Service and everything. And it never happened because Jerry got back there and started spinning yarns about himself. But anyways, Kimmel got me started, got me going with the Madden thing. After he uh, after he went on to his TV show, they had me audition for the part of what that's
Right.
2 minute segment. The other people auditioning were Jeff Dunham and his puppet Walter. So it was me, and Dunham talks about that in his book. And Craig Robinson and Billy Gardell were the other ones that would have been a point counterpoint type of thing. So a lot of names in that, of which some of them are much bigger than mine. So it's kind of crazy. Dunham actually credits me for making him a stadium comic by having him do other things. I was like, maybe I should have stayed out of it and gotten a puppet. What the hell?
Okay. So when you do shows, obviously people want to hear Madden. What?
They
Give me
honestly,
one of
they
your.
they don't even want to hear it as much as they used to. I mean,
Well, because he's not
yeah,
around anymore. Yeah, I
yeah.
guess that's
It's
part of it.
Gruden is huge. John Gruden, I'll tell you what, man, let's open some boxes, Howard. You ever open a box and see what's inside of it? People are sending them to me all over the place, man. I tell you what, it's tremendous. I can't wait. And he has trouble. He's doing this thing with Barstool, which is great for him. I know John pretty well.
Yeah.
And he's opening boxes constantly that are sent to him from different teams. And he has trouble opening every box. I don't know why he can't figure out how to open a box yet. It's not the hardest. I'm waiting for him to be like a little kid and start playing it with it like it's a fort. I'm going to build a fort out of this thing, man. That's what we're going to do. I don't care what's inside. It might be the St. Louis Blues, but I'll tell you what. We're gonna make a castle out of this thing. I am King Gruden of Grudenomic. Uh, so it's Gruden is really big. Charles Barkley is big.
I got to tell you a story about Gruden before we move on to some of the others. And I don't know that you could ever mix this in. He was a coach when he was a coach with the Eagles, obviously working with offense. Ricky Waters was the running back, and his girlfriend was ruthless. Just ruthless. So after a game, I just happened to be standing outside the locker room, and his girlfriend went off on Gruden because he didn't get it because Ricky Waters didn't get enough carries. I'm standing there and I'm watching this, and he just stands there and he just takes it all in. He just take it out, and they won the game. The Eagles won the game, but she just tore him a new, you know what, and he just stood there and took it. Today, I don't know that he would take it, but he just stood there and took it.
I tell you what, man, it's all about the W. I don't care what you have to endure after the game. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about what somebody thinks should have been done. I care about getting that W, and that's what we did. We took it home, a victory for the people of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and then you got into Charles, I guess, because he's got so many good phrases, I guess, for
Well, he's
you.
outspoken. That's the thing about Charles. When I first met Charles,
he walked up to me. He's like, Frank, you got to keep doing me. I'm like, what? You got to keep doing that impression of me. I'm like, why is that? Because every time you do it, I end up making more money. He's like, I don't even understand why. People hear you doing it on radio. Next thing you know, I get a new commercial for Taco Bell or Weight Watchers, which came right after Taco Bell. Must have been 2-minute runs for the border.
But the thing is, analysts are the best because what do they do in life? Analysts talk about things. They break things down. So what do comedians who do impressions do? You you basically do analysis, or you do a fish out of water situation, or you explain something. And so explaining things as a John Madden, as a Charles Barkley, it's natural for the comedy because what you do is you just take everyday things. So if you were going to talk about brushing your teeth,
I mean, a lot of people do the thing where they put the toothpaste on the dried toothbrush. I mean, I can't do that. I mean, I got to wet the toothbrush down, and then you put the toothpaste on, and boom, you start brushing your teeth. I mean, if you do it the other way, I mean, I don't think you're going to get anything clean.
so it just makes sense. And Barkley dislikes everything. I mean, I think he's kind of like you. I think that's a little Philadelphia. But his job is to promote the NBA and the NBA. And what does he do?
This game is really, really bad right now. It's terrible. We got to fix everything. It's got to get a little bit better, Howard, and that's the way it's going to be. We got women, young. We got to get guys playing. If they're not playing, there's no way they're ever.
And when he answers the question, first of all, when you hear first of all,
Yep. Yep.
the next few lines are going to be him making something up.
First of all, and here comes a bunch of bull, Howard.
He is absolutely the best because he really does say what he thinks. And on a national scale, that's hard to find somebody who will do that, who doesn't care about the repercussions. And he's very funny. I mean, he
He
is,
absolutely. I mean,
and
just being with him as much as I have, you hear things. I was there when when he threw a guy out of the restaurant, uh, and then
Howard, let's not talk about. Let's talk about the good things. Why do you have to be like the NBA, me on the NBA and TNT? Find something good, Howard. Something
terrible.
really
That was
good.
terrible.
That was terrible, but that's what I expect from you, Howard. Something really good hair and really bad words.
Okay, but the best line he had is, "I'm just sorry I wasn't on the 20th floor when I threw the guy
yeah,
out of the
I mean,
window."
it's brilliant. I mean, it's really funny. I mean, I did do this joke, and it's actually come to life even more lately. Where the joke is he's not paying attention, and you don't really want Charles paying attention. You just want him to be there. He knows he has the analysis, but that's not what's fun about Charles. But they'll ask him a question. What do you think of the game?
Oh, I have no idea. I really wasn't watching. But I tell you what, Vladimir Putin is crazy. He's going to blow up the world. We've all been little pieces watching basketball. Back to you, Ernie.
And then when he was on March Madness this year, he's there obviously because you've got Clark Kellogg in the group to know what's actually going on. Charles
Right,
is there to have a little bit of analysis, but to really be incredibly entertaining. And they
correct.
asked him, what Ernie says, "Well, Charles, what do you think of the first half?"
Well, that's a good question, Ernie.
He hadn't been watching, and it was unbelievable. And Kenny Smith is like, "It's your job, man." And they knew what game they were going to talk about. And then he
Yeah.
goes to his notes, and he's looking at his notes, and Kenny's calling him on that. He's like, "You don't have notes there."
Sure, I do. Looks like frozen pizza.
That's your grocery list, man.
I
So
take, and that's what he is. But he's
yes, it's great.
he's just naturally funny. We're out. We've been out a lot of times and done a lot of things, and I can tell this stories. A lot of them I can't tell, but we're out most of the night. We get back to his place because he lives in Philadelphia in the off season, lives in the area, in the Philadelphia area. So we go out a lot. So we come back from being out, and I don't drink. Imagine I'm just drinking seltzer, but he obviously has a good time. So we get back to his house, and I said, "I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to get some sleep." I says, "Charles, we got a golf tournament we got to go to, and it's a charity golf. It's a golf tournament we got to go to." He says, "Well, I'm going to go to sleep." I says, "What time do you want to get up?" He says 6:30. I says, "Charles, it's 5:45." I said, he had no idea what time it was.
I mean, he's just another one of the first times I'd seen him was in Tahoe at the golf tournament out there,
I
the
caddied for
celebrity
him
golf.
3 years there.
Oh,
Oh
did
my
you?
gosh. Oh, it
There's
was
nothing funnier than watching him do karaoke in the bar, like, because the thriller night, those zombies gonna eat you. It's he is he's great, and he actually told me a story that I'd kept from people forever until he told the story. He actually recently told the story on the Kelsey Brothers podcast. Um, Years ago, I did something, and John Madden wanted to sue me, and he called Charles Barkley. And Barkley actually was a big reason it kind of went away. But
Charles said, John Madden wants to sue you or wanted to sue you, right?
and I was like, yeah, I had gotten wind of that, and I'd actually done these commercials and stuff,
Mhm.
and I was indemnified from it, so somebody would have paid for it. But you don't want to be involved in a lawsuit. So uh, what happened was Charles tells me about this. He goes, I got the call and they said John Madden wanted to talk to me. And Madden talked to him, is like, we got to sue this Frank Caliendo guy. And Charles is like, don't understand. People, they hear it. It's good for you. People know that you're out there. And so he really made the case. And like I said, it pretty much went away. But Charles, my biggest reason for telling that story is because it was on the Kelsey brothers, and that's related to Taylor Swift. And my daughter is about to be 19 years old, and that's my few degrees of separation from Taylor Swift. So I tell it everywhere I can.
He's just he's who he is. He's so
Maybe this should
so
have been. I
authentic.
got it, Howard. This is our Law and Order episode. This is it, and Charles is in there. Boom, boom.
And I said to the judge, we got to make this go away. Doom, doom.
So yeah, it is.
And that's just he's so authentic, and
Yeah,
that's the great thing about Charles. It doesn't matter who for what, which is a Ricky Waters line, for who for what. He said that, asking about, short armed the ball, but Charles just he says what he says. When Shaq had to take a dump, we can say it on a podcast.
Here's how I do it. I do this, Charles Barkley. He had to take a shack. Shaq's got to go take a shack, knuckleheads.
I mean, this is what I use. I use Draymond Green. Remember years ago, there was a thing where he said,
I want to punch Draymond Green in the face.
now, we've all said stuff like that. That's a normal thing somebody would say. That's just Charles being a regular human being. The media jumped on him like, you can't say this is violence in basketball. We can't have this kind of thing and stuff. And Charles is not the type of person to apologize like formally. Not You're not going to give him a piece of paper. He's gonna change that even. It'll make it worse. It'll be like,
I apologize for the following reasons. My lawyer says I should be sorry.
that's not what you want. But what he went on, he did an apology, but he made it seem like it was something he could live with, and it seemed like an apology, but it really was just,
I apologize for recognizing Draymond Green has such a punchable face.
I mean, it was brilliant how he did it. It just was, it's like, it's your fault. It's Charles. And
And
all they heard was apology, and people moved on. It was brilliant.
yeah, and he's so quick to
Yeah.
extend a situation, but do it in such a good and funny way. It's just
Well, Terry Bradshaw has that same kind of thing, because Terry's got a character too, and
right.
Terry's is the dumber character. Terry can extend things by just playing dumb. I tell you what, Frank, I'm not as dumb as they think I am, but I'm close. I just play it out. So that's and well, Charles is in the Bradshaw seat. NBA and TNT is kind of a mirror of the original NFL on Fox. I believe the same people that did the Fox show went over and created the NBA on TNT. So Ernie Johnson is James Brown, Kenny Smith is Howie Long, and Charles Barkley is Terry Bradshaw. It's that same kind of dynamic. So that creates your persona, and you get to be that every week. And Charles was the jokes on him a lot. When the jokes fail on the NBA and TNT, which I believe is probably the best, not just sports show, but probably the best show on television,
Absolutely.
that when a bit goes wrong and they have to try and fix it on the air, or they just start making fun of each other for it being not going, that's what makes it great. It's the the approach. It's the honesty and not trying to hide that the bit didn't go well. That was one of the toughest things for me on Fox. I had to pre-tape anybody who did comedy, Rob Riggle, Jimmy Kimmel, any of the guest people that did it. You're taped. You have to tape it 2 to 3 days before to have it all edited and put together, and then it's just pieced in the show. So what happens naturally on the show for that is what becomes funny, whether it's Terry Bradshaw or Charles Barkley. But in a bit, it's kind of scripted and just is what it is. So you have to sit through the bit. If it's not working the way you want it to, it doesn't hit the element of the way they're looking at it. The point of view of the rest of the show, it just has to sit there for 2 minutes and somebody might stare at it. But in the moment, if a bit falls apart, you can just quit the bit and start making fun of each other, break the fourth wall and have fun with it. So, and that's what makes those shows really great.
You know, there's funny situations, but it wasn't for Charles. He's playing in Tahoe, and I'm his caddy, which was brutal because you're digging out of bunkers all the time, raking bunkers and all that nonsense. It's the 11th hole at that golf course they play in Tahoe, and that has water about 150 yards away, whatever it is, and he keeps on hitting the ball into Jason Kidd's in the foursome, and he looks at me, and he hits it in the water, then he hits it in the water again. And then he hits it in the water again. I says, Charles, you know, you can drop in front of the water. And he's running out of golf balls because he doesn't put that many in his bag. And in a real tournament, you can't have somebody bring you golf balls. So I says, Charles, you got to drop. And so he says, give me a bleeping ball. You know, I could probably say it on a podcast. So I took the ball and I threw it at him. And finally, he got it over. So at the end of the hole, he goes over the green. He one putts for a 15, the second hole of the tournament. I said, Charles, we just got to keep it together. We got a lot of holes left.
This is Tin Cup with Charles Barkley. You remember that movie?
Yes, absolutely, with Kevin Costner.
And it's a really crazy situation, knuckleheads. We gotta give me another ball, Howard.
Well, and then we're playing, and Danny Ainge is in the group. He used to go after practice. They used to go out and play a lot of golf when he played with the Suns. So we go out, and I forget which hole it was. He hits a shot, and there's a big rock to the left. The ball hits the rock and hits him in the head. And he says, "Oh, am I bleeding? Am I bleeding?" I says, "No, but your ball's back there, and you got to hit it where it lies." Charles he's beautiful. So the other impressions that you do, Allen Iverson.
And Allen Iverson, you could say I do an Allen Iverson. You know why people think I do an Allen Iverson? Because I read the Allen Iverson practice as Morgan Freeman. That's what it is. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. So yeah, I don't have an Allen Iverson. I had to cut you off quickly there before you said you thought I could do a good one because I don't have it.
Oh, well, I was at that news conference where he says, we talking practice.
We're talking practice.
Not a game. We talking practice. I'm standing there and I'm saying, you got to be kidding me. But see, I know what happened in that situation. It was the end of the season, you know, the exit interviews, and Larry Brown does the exit interviews. And I found out where he was all day. He was kind of hanging out with his guys, drinking beers, drinking Coronas. So he was so fucked up.
We call that Luka Doncicing. No.
Okay, I didn't know enough about it. So, all right. So now entertainers. Give me some of your entertainers.
Over the years, I think some of the best ones, Al Pacino, that's a good one. Talk to yeah. Robert De Niro, that's good. John C. Reilly, did you touch my drum set? Oh, Seth Rogen. Those are some different people.
Morgan Freeman, you do a good Morgan Freeman, don't you?
Well, I believe I do, Sonny. That's one of those that I've done had to walk through 500 yards of the fifth slop I can't even imagine. Or maybe I just don't want to.
Well, when The Sopranos obviously was a great show, and it's all those, and with all due respect to the Italians, it's just something about that. Did you ever do any one of The Sopranos?
Yeah,
I told you, Soprano. What are you talking about, Howard? That's ridiculous. What's going on? Bada bing, bada boom. Huh? What are we doing here? It's ridiculous.
I,
Yeah, that was that. I even did that. I haven't done it for a while, but that was one I would do. I did that on Fox a couple of times. We did Tony Soprano sitting outside just breaking down the games. But yeah, that was one because I could look a lot like him too. That was kind of crazy.
now I met all those guys. They shot some scenes. I used to do a show at the Borgata, the
Oh, okay.
casino in Atlantic City, and they
Yeah.
shot scenes there. And one day I was doing a show there, and the restroom was where they were doing their makeup. So I got to talk Paulie Walnuts, may he rest in peace. And I became friends with Steve Shrippa, who was Bobby Bacala, and he's going to be on the show sometime in the future, just because they do shows around the country. He and Michael Imperioli
Good.
talking about The Sopranos, and it's just so they were all so nice. And I'm sure you know that who was the daughter? What was her name in the show? I'm talking about Meadow.
Yeah.
Meadow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, she's married to Lenny Dykstra's son. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that. No, no,
Yeah,
no. I had no
one of
idea.
his sons, and Cutter Dykstra, and they have kids, and they're doing well.
Awesome.
It's just so it's amazing sometimes the extension, but it was so cool to watch that show. But there's something about Italians. There's something about Italians. People love mob people. There was a guy, and I'll say organized crime. There's a guy in Philadelphia, and now he's got a steak shop, and he's pushing the steak shop, cheesesteaks. Joey Merlino was kind of head of the mob, and not the mob, the organized crime, well, whatever. He would never admit to it. But the stories I got
Great
to
that
know.
you're calling it out. I'm great. I'm glad you're talking about it right now.
Well, I am talking about it, but it's just something. So I went to Florida. He's got a place in Florida, so I went to dinner with him. I'm telling you, those people are celebrities.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just
Well, the movies have glorified that, and in television, but they glorify a lot of things. But I mean, listen, I'm an Italian from Chicago, man. My family, there's all kinds of stuff. My uncle used to say, when I was with Sinatra, we were talking about. I wasn't even born yet, but he's got stories. I'm sitting there with Sinatra. We're talking about cheese because I can get him cheese anytime he wants. Like, okay, whatever. My uncle actually was like the mafia of cheese. He's like, you can't get cheese in Chicago. What don't you mean? I'm like, why are you angry about this? What's happened? What's going on?
it's unbelievable. Okay, so the NFL on Fox, the pregame show. I guess
Yeah.
you did that for a couple of years, right? Did bits on it.
I was on 9 years.
9 years. Okay, so
Yeah.
so how time flies. Any situations there on or off camera?
Uh, I mean, the best moments I experienced were being just around the guys because I was in the studio every once in a while. I was in a dressing room. Franco Harris accidentally walked into a dressing room. I was talking to Terry in that dressing room. They hadn't seen each other in 20, 30 years or something like that. So that moment was pretty cool. It was like that and a Dr. Phil moment. Dr. Phil was backstage. And no, it's always interesting when you're in a room with people way more famous than you and nobody asks you to leave the room. That's something that I always find to be pretty cool. Just hanging out with Terry and the guys at Super Bowls. That was always fun because you just get to see Terry in real life, what he's like walking around. He'll just call things out. He goes, over there, that's a hooker. Yeah, that's a hooker. I'm like,
You
how do you
talking
know,
about
Terry?
Belichick's? No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. No, well, whatever.
You're not kidding.
No, somebody says, "Can you do me?" But I'll just give you a little. If you heard me on the radio, when people are completely idiotic, you're a dope, you're a moron, or you're a nitwit. You are a dope, or you're a moron. I would go from moron to nitwit to dope. So, and then people, when they see me, you're a dope. I says, no, you're a dope. You hung up on me on the radio. I says, yeah, and it's a badge of honor, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't have a Howard Eskin impression, but there are words. It might just be the Philly accent. Because you don't say on, you say on. There's an on, there's a dope. There's certain words, a moron is there's some syllables in there, the way your vowels and some R's. that I can hear right away. You do have a raspy, imitatable voice. So if you have that, it's in there somewhere that I could find, somewhere. It would take a lot of time. This stuff takes a lot of time.
Oh,
So
I
I'd find
bet.
the yeah, yeah. Like so, okay. So Ephraim from your left. Oh, I bet. So I could find it from in there and work backwards. It's reverse engineering. So this is one of the things that people really like that I talk about. So when I talked about where at the beginning of the podcast, Kermit the Frog. Hi, ho, Kermit the Frog here. There's an element of what you can do to make a nasal sound. Then there's a Fozzie Bear sound, which is the back of the throat. Ah, waka waka waka. So if you take those sounds, which are basically Jim Henson and Frank Oz, they're also Bert and
Mhm.
Ernie. Oh, Bert, Ernie. So you take those voices. If you take Kermit the Frog, hi, ho, Kermit the Frog here, and you bring it down a little bit, it becomes John C. Riley. Did you touch my drum set? Now, if you add some air to it, it becomes Mark Ruffalo. I see this as an absolute win. You bring it down even more and add some more air, and it becomes Paul Giamatti. I believe that is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my entire life. And I am not drinking a freaking Merlot. So the voices are related in there. And
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is in there. John C. Riley. Patrick Mahomes is, add a little Texas in there and you get a little bit of that. So there are those voices it's all about muscle memory with your throat and that type of stuff.
George W. Bush was a good one for you, and you touched on it
Yeah.
a little bit earlier. Give me a little George W.
Well, I mean, that's all about trying to think of words.
Which is crazy because then we went to President Obama, whose the word, his ability to think of words was he would be, we have to contemplate this situation in a manner that is proper in all of perpetuity. And, we just had a guy who couldn't think of words, and then this guy could put it's not even political at all. I just think of the characters. It's
Right.
almost the difference between Biden and Trump are big for me right now because they're kind of like the two old guys from the Muppets, Statler and Waldorf, that sit in the balcony. But Trump, it says everything he wants. I do library Trump, the quiet Trump. It's very quiet. I'm saying very tough things. I get tough things, very tough things. And then my Biden is basically, he just, folks, come on. What are we doing? The guy with the thing. I don't have to tell you. No, you did have to tell us. You're the president. I would have told you it wasn't your turn. Well, guess what? It is again. Okay.
Okay,
So,
when you do Trump, I mean, Stormy Daniels was such a big part of, whether he denies it or not, we know what happened. We know it's true. Do you ever relate to a situation when you do Trump?
little bits. My stuff stays away from the actual politics. I let
Right.
people have
Yeah.
their own decisions. I kind of let people. I do a joke about. I've thrown out. It's kind of a pun type of joke, but years ago on the NFL on Fox, we did Trump. I did Trump with Trump at Trump Tower. And the joke was, I've decided to run for president. I've decided to not run for president. I've decided to not run for president. Are you running for president? I don't even know anymore. So we get this done with the sketch. And he's like, do you have a second? I was like, sure. He says, come with me. So we go to this kiosk thing in Trump Tower. Now, granted, I'm dressed like Donald Trump and I'm with Donald Trump, and we look like Dr. Evil and Mini Me. That's what it looks
Right.
like. And people are just staring all over the place. But he's like, do you like ties? I'm like, sure. And he starts giving me ties from that kiosk, the counter. He goes, are you married? I go, I start to answer, and he goes, wait, here's a better question. Do you like your wife? I was like, I'm never, what, I don't know. And like, is it going to be like three choices behind different doors? What do we, is it, I was like, it's getting a little stormy in here. And that's the joke I do about Stormy Daniels. And a lot of times the audience will be like, ooh.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I try not to get too much. It's just silly. And my stuff is, like I said, I just if people are listening to me for political ideas, I live a pretty different life than most people, and I understand that. I've been very lucky, so I try not to tell anybody what to think on that.
Well,
And
and I can't talk about obviously we all have opinions, but I can't deal with it because half the people, people love me or hate me anyway, but I don't need them to love me or hate me because of politics, because then it
right,
really becomes anger.
you got enough love hate based on what you do, just being you, to open up another can of worms. Yeah, it's absolutely right. And my stuff is usually silly and when people want me to go after somebody who's been in trouble, I'm like, that's not really what I do. I kind of wait for them to be on the upswing again, and then I start making fun of them, and that's in those situations. So it's I've gotten beaten down in my life enough that I know what that's like. And I've had friends where I've done, tweeted about them or something like that. They're like, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, you know what? I'm not. You're right. I'm just trying to get something for myself at that point. And it's because it's not. You do it something very different. That is what you're known for and what you do. That's your job and how people know you. I'm not a reporter. I'm not an analyst. And I don't do the research on a lot of stuff. So I feel like other people that's their job and their livelihood. I feel that's very different than what I do, which is kind of just being silly and with these cheeks cherubic a little bit.
Yeah, Screaming A. Smith. We'll cap it with that. It's so
I
easy.
understand what's coming down the pike here. You have to understand, Howard, that running for president, which is what I decided to do internally, but not externally.
Last time I saw Stephen A, which is funny, we call him Stephen A. Like we don't call like Michael J. Fox Michael J. Right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
just
I know.
Stephen A. is the only guy. But I saw him when I first met Stephen A. He's like, of all the impressions and impersonations you do, Frank Caliendo, don't ever do me. And he was joking, like half joking, of course, but he was having fun with it. I saw him at the Super Bowl a few years ago, and talked to him for a few minutes, just quickly. And then somebody about 2 hours later asked him who does the best Stephen A. impression, and he said me. And I think it was just because I was top of mind, because
Mhm.
Jamie Foxx and Jay Farrow might do the best one. But it was very funny to me that I got the mention and it went like mini viral for a little bit. And I was like, see, I do a pretty good Stephen A. Smith for all the people that tell me it isn't very good. But
Yeah,
I understand. I like that subtle understand. When he gets real serious, Bronny James,
I know.
what are
It
we
just
doing here?
does he believe anything he says? But that's another story. All right, let me tell people where you're going to be, because in Philadelphia, and I'm going to go over the others. May
That's great. It only
18th.
took us. It only took us about 50 minutes to get to the point of where I'm going to be. Thanks, Howard, for getting it out there so quickly.
Well, well, you're
I'm
right.
just
I
being a
should have
jerk.
done
I'm
it.
just being a jerk. I'm just being a jerk.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. When I repost this, I'm going to make sure that I tell people you're at Helium in Philadelphia on May 18th. So, and I have a lot of people on social media, and
Just having
everywhere I
fun. I
repost.
have fun. It's I do this honestly a lot
So
of
you're
times
busting my balls. Okay, you're
yeah, yeah,
busting
yeah,
my
yeah.
balls.
I'm just giving you a little bit of. I'm giving you a little bit of what it's like to be you. Yeah.
All right, May
Hold on,
18th
hold
at
on, hold
Helium.
on. Howard-esque fraud. Howard-esque fraud. That's what he is. He's a fraud. He's a fraud. My
Well,
son and I, after seeing you we saw you at that same Super Bowl where I saw that was in Arizona.
right.
All we do is walk around calling people frauds now, because he's like, you were just calling people fraud. He's a fraud. He's a fraud. He's a fraud. And now my son and I, all we do is just go, he's a fraud. We're fraud. We're fraud. That's a fraud. He's a fraud. We
Well,
text each other.
my name um, for LeBron James is LaFraud James, because I think he's a fraud. So, and I rip him, and you know, he gave himself. And see, this is being a fraud. When you give yourself a nickname, that is a fraud. And he gave himself King James. Nobody named him King James. Like, people called
Well,
me the
LeBron is the name. LeBron is king, right? That's what it means. It's instead.
Yeah, but he
It's
gave himself the nickname.
right, right. Yeah, no, I get.
Back in 1982, I walked in the locker room, in the Phillies locker room, and Pete Rose. Somebody did a story on me, the king of sports talkers on TV, and I was like a few months away from going into TV, and Pete Rose says, "King, you're the king," and then everybody started. But I never gave myself a nickname. That's why I have Elvis in the room, because the Kings never left the building.
Well, you're a bush. Yeah, when people introduce me, a lot of times they introduce me as the great Frank Caliendo, and it sounds like a magician. It's like the great Frank Caliendo, and like birds are gonna fly out of my sleeves or something. So,
Well,
but
the King is a nickname. By the way, I got a doctorate last year at Goldie Beacom College in Wilmington, Delaware. So I'm now officially a doctor. But I don't think you want me to operate on you, because that wouldn't be
no,
a good thing. But they King PhD is another nickname now. But whatever. But I didn't give it to myself. Where LaFraud James gave it to himself. So that's where I have a problem with it. So whatever. You're going to be at, you're going to be, we can get it. We can go on forever with this. The frauds, I can go down a list
Please
of
don't,
frauds.
please don't. I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to keep trying to cut you off on your own show.
May 18th at Helium, but you're in, I see Toledo, Ohio on May 15th. Pittsburgh, the 16th, you're doing 2 nights there, right? 16th
Yeah,
and 17th
four
of May.
shows in Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Okay. Philadelphia, May 18th at Helium.
yeah.
And then you're going to Washington for 2 dates. May 20 and 21 in Washington,
Yeah.
D.C.
And then I end up, the last show I do is in Oklahoma at the Apache Casino on the 22nd. And then my family, we all head to Italy a couple weeks or a few days later. So we head out to Italy, we fly to New York and then fly to Italy. Last time I was in Italy, you know who I ran into? John Gruden, man.
Oh,
Not even a joke. Just ended up hanging out with John Gruden. I posted a picture of me in front of the Coliseum. I got a text from a guy, you'd probably know him, Jeff Leonardo.
yes.
Gruden's right hand man who used to drive the Stones bus and stuff like that. And he's like, "Did you know John is in Italy right now? He's in Rome." I'm like, "Well, you think I have Grudar? Yeah, how am I going to know John's here?" So like the Star Wars type of thing. Like I can feel his presence, man. The force is strong with this one. So we end up having dinner and stuff in Rome, and John loved it because he's like, "I paid for this. You tell people I paid for this, man." I'm like, "All right."
Well, what you do is great. And I recommend people Helium Comedy Club on May 18th. And if you're in any other cities, and people, I've gotten messages on social media from Australia and from India. So if you ever play Australia and India, just let me know because I got people there and I'll give you a shout out over there.
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure people. I can't stand him. I can't stand Howard Eskin. He drives me nuts. Guy's a dope. He's a fraud.
Fraud. Well, keep up, keep going.
We do.
Hey,
We literally text each other anytime something happened in media. Somebody gets whatever happens. He's a fraud. Fraud.
well, I'm glad I could pass something along to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frank, it's great. And I always enjoy these. I don't call them interviews; they're conversations because you're just having fun. We're just having fun, and it was very, very enjoyable. But on the other side of this, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to. LaFraud James is going to get buried. JJ Redick is going to get buried, and Bill Belichick's going to get buried. And how about his girlfriend has $9 million of real estate? Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, I mean,
Listen,
it's we're just he should have, when the whole thing happened with that interview, he should have just been, "We're on to Cincinnati." That's what he should have done, right?
yeah, right.
Like it would have been great. Just go, "Listen, we're on to Cincinnati." So he could have made something fun with it, and it just you've got to be careful in those situations. And as a reporter, even though that's kind of a fluff show, you open up the floodgates at a certain point. If you
just deal with it.
If you push back, that opens it up right there. Don't make it awkward. The more awkward you make it, the more a reporter has to ask questions.
I'm going to ask you a question based on the question. We're not talking about that. Well, she already put it out. Somebody put it out, and then he put it out in that ridiculous statement that I don't think he wrote that was put out by North Carolina. They met on a plane when she was 19 years old. Now, can you honestly believe, first of all, I don't know how many commercial flights he flies. That's the first thing. Secondly, he's flying first class. A 19-year-old is sitting next to him in first class. There's no way. Zero that's where they met.
Go to this though. I don't really care.
You know what? But he made an issue of it.
Yeah, I get it, and that's the world we live in. But I don't really care. I personally, but a lot of people do, and that's the world. Like you said, it is a job of the reporter. You can't gloss over it because I get that. I understand all of that. I'm not saying. I just personally, it makes me laugh. Now, if I were to try to counter your argument there, maybe she was a flight attendant on a private flight. Maybe it was such a high level private flight, but they had no answer. I do think it's, it's
Yeah, it
a
is what
little
it
murky
is.
of what the
Yeah,
situation
well,
is.
hey, listen, the truth will set you free.
Yeah, that's why I lie. I lie constantly and have to fight my way out of it.
Well, that's what
I'm kidding. I'm
Roger
kidding.
Clemens is a good guy now, and I got to know him a little bit through somebody else but not really well. But he just deny. You can't deny because people know that that's wrong. The truth. And so I always tell people the truth will set you free. That's just and it just you get it out there and you just
Depends.
move on.
Yeah, sometimes it just the next thing happens. Depends on how much truth you have. There,
Right.
if you have a lot of truth you have to tell, sometimes it's better to go into hiding.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Frank, it's great talking to you. I will make sure that people know that you're going to be at Helium Comedy
Awesome.
Club on
Thanks.
May 18th here in Philadelphia. But we're heard all over the world anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, good
whatever.
night, mate. Yeah, good night, mate.
Have a great day, and thanks for getting up early in Phoenix
Yeah.
for being on the
Awesome,
show.
man.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
All right. We'll talk. Thanks, Frank. Frank Caliendo. Great guy. Funny guy. He's just like you and me. Hey, listen. All we're trying to do is have fun. We're just having fun, right? We're just having fun. All right, let me thank again our presenting sponsor. And I got to deal with this. I can't let the Lakers go, and I'm going to deal with this. But I want to take care of things and tell you that, as you see right there, Stillwell Financial Advisors, our presenting sponsor. Jeff Stillwell is the man. If you have any wealth, he's the guy. And he's going to help you out. And trust me to trust him because I got to know him and I learned a lot from him. 732-343-0813. All right. And let me tell you about our other wonderful partners, and that would be Piazza Property Pros. The weather's nice. You're waiting too long if you're calling them now, but call them to get yourself on the schedule. Piazza Property Pros will make your summer really enjoyable, whether you want a new in-ground pool, you want renovations on your pool. Piazza Property Pros, 25 years of experience. Don't ever forget that. And they don't subcontract their people. They are their people, skilled people to do the work, whether it's landscaping, pool maintenance. You can trust Piazza Property Pros. Exceptional results within your budget. Here's the number: 610-566-2608, 610-566-2608, or piazzaoutdoor.com. Have a fun summer. And you're tired of paying all that money for cable. Aren't we all tired of it? It's nonsense. It's too much. Cut the cord with Jason. Jason offers an incredible service that will save you money. He'll come out to your house, cut the cable off, set you up with less expensive internet service with streaming services, which will include local and national channels. Your Philly sports teams will all be on there. And let's say you have a second home. That's all part of it. Jason can set up your second home, only one monthly TV bill for both houses. For more information and to save money, that's important, call Jason, 215-801-5858, 215-801-5858. And you want a new car. Yeah, don't we all? No tariffs. No tariffs on all in-stock vehicles while the supplies last. And I know this for a fact. Audi is starting to ship vehicles to all their dealerships, and especially Audi of Westchester. The all-new facility with state-of-the-art equipment. Audi is Westchester's goal, and they have great people there, fun people. Buying or leasing a new Audi, simple, and it's possible with pressure-free sales environment. Since Audi of Westchester is part of the Mainline Automotive Group, you'll have access to the largest selection of new and pre-owned Audi vehicles in the tri-state area. I've sent some friends over there. Stop by Audi Westchester, located at 1421 Wilmington Pike, or check them out online, AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. By the way, some sales on the Q5 hybrids and the A5s. There's still some sales going on there. All right. I want to deal with a couple of things because I am so tired of JJ Redick. So tired. He is such a fraud. And here's the thing with JJ Redick. He is the smartest guy in the room, He's the smartest guy in the room, and it doesn't matter what room he's in. That's who he is. He's an arrogant guy. Arrogant guy. Arrogant. I want you to listen to this sound clip. And he's done it multiple times this year when he walks out of news
As you watch
conferences.
the
Let's go with
film,
JJ Redick.
what do you recall about your thought process in the moment? Sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day, and is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get some other guys involved if that opportunity presents
Are
itself?
you saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? Do you think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single time out?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I,
There's a lot going
every
on.
single time. That's a weird assumption.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, it's just, hey, listen, your job is to ask questions. JJ Redick only got the job because of LaFraud James, because I'm sure he promised. They were doing a podcast together. I'm sure he promised, JJ Redick promised, I'll make sure that we draft your son, who can't play a little bit. Bronny can't play a little bit. But who is JJ Redick? Who is JJ Redick? He's not even, he played the second half. He made in the last game that they got eliminated. He played guys the entire second half, no substitutions. How can you do that? Nobody does that. Guys need a break. It's bad enough they take off games, but the reality, he's not a good coach, although he thinks he's a great coach. And he's an arrogant guy. All right. I will say this about LaFraud James. After the game, he didn't seem like he was that upset. Remember, the Lakers got eliminated. They're like the Sixers. The first round the last 2 years. Sixers didn't make it this year because they're a joke anyway. But the Lakers at least have some really good players. I don't know about the Sixers. But the reality is, after the last game and when they got eliminated, the question always is, he's 40 years old. He's out of gas at the end of the game. All he cares about is scoring points. He plays no defense, zero defense. He is a fraud. LaFraud James is a fraud. And he says, you coming back next year? Well, I'll have to think about that. I'm going to tell you right now, as Charles Barkley would say, I guarantee he's coming back. And the reason he's coming back, the reason he's going to come back is because if he's not a player, he won't be LaFraud James anymore. He won't have all this attention. Every game that they play, there's at least 2 highlights of LaFraud James on the highlights. He wouldn't get that. He would miss that so much. Oh, he'd still be a big-time name, but he wouldn't be anything close to what he is. He's coming. Forget about it. He doesn't need the money, but he's probably coming back for that. He's getting like $50-some million a year, but he's coming back for that. But that's like third or fourth down the line. He's coming back because LaFraud James wants attention. It's all about him and attention. And then somebody has a report that he tore an MCL. What's that supposed to? We're supposed to give him sympathy for that. MCL is not even the toughest ligament there, but whatever. All right. I'm done with LaFraud, and I'm done with JJ Redick, but I'm not done with Bill Belichick. It's a story that just won't die. It just won't die. The truth will set you free. Just, hey, listen, she hit on me. If that's the case, I'm just saying that hypothetically. She hit on me, and she's a nice looking girl, beautiful girl, and she's young and all that, and 50 years younger. And it's, I got my trophy and whatever you want to say, but whatever the case may be. But this is the video that started it rolling, and he treated it so, and Frank kind of touched it. Just say I'm on to Cincinnati. Here's the video from Sunday, CBS Sunday Morning, which is a great show, by the way. The pieces there are great show. Here's the piece that started the ball rolling.
Was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable
I'm not talking. We're not talking. Who are you? You're just supposed to, even if you're now, all of a sudden he says she's the publicist. She handles his stuff. You don't do that during an interview. You just don't do that. And, there wasn't the truth when he said, I told the publisher just dealing with the book. CBS said, that's not what was said. That was not relayed to us. That wasn't the case. But you got to talk about it. And for Bill Belichick to say, I don't know what goes on social media. First of all, there's somebody taking pictures because she's not doing it herself. And he knows she's posting it on social media because I'm sure he hears it from people. The whole thing is a complete joke, It's just, I just, and then Andrea Kramer on our last show talked about how she came to practice. She runs around. It's a professional environment. And she comes out. Let's play the video of her coming to practice at North Carolina. It's absolutely ridiculous. Go ahead with Joe if you have that ready. The video of her. Yeah. Okay. There's Belichick. And who comes out? I mean, dressed very appropriately. Look at those shoes. I mean, she's in the wrong place to wear those boots. But whatever the case may be, I mean, the whole thing is like, he's working. She just takes over and then there's reports that and it's fact, that she's got $9 million worth of real estate since 23. And they were going out at that time since 2023. Where did she get that? Where did she get $9 million worth of real estate in the New England area? But whatever the case may be, all right. So I took care of JJ Redick, and I didn't play it, which is fine. Brian Windhorst buried him for being immature. And we don't have to deal with that. But JJ Redick walks out of news conferences if he doesn't like the question. LaFraud James wants all the attention on himself. Bill Belichick, just tell the truth. Just, hey, listen, if in fact she did, and I don't know that, if in fact she did hit on him, okay, it's okay. Hey, listen, she was very friendly to me. I got kind of caught up in it, and then we started to get to know. But just make some, he never answers questions yet. He did when he wasn't a coach. He'll never get a job in the NFL again. Never, never, never. I wanted to deal with the Phillies, but we'll do that again. I mean, we're doing this on Saturday morning. Friday night, they had 6 hits, but they had 2 home runs and only scored 3 runs. And we got to deal with Bryce Harper, and we're going to deal with that on later shows. I just want to see if he comes out of it. He's hitting 230 something, like 235. There's something, and sometimes players are going to have a tough year. And is this Bryce Harper's year? But we'll deal with that at a later date. And the Eagles, obviously, will deal with that at a later date. Our next show is Wednesday night at live at 7:30, and it's lasts forever. And thanks to our partners. Thanks for our presenting sponsor, Stillwell Financial Advisors. Thanks to all our partners, Piazza Property Pros, and Cut the Cord with Jason and Audi of Westchester. Thank you. Didn't we tell who the winner was of the sunglasses? No, and the Oakley sunglasses, James Lafrida, and congratulations, James. I was going to give a pair away today, but you know what? I'll save them for Wednesday. But we got plenty of sunglasses. So Wednesday, there's so many different things that Frank Caliendo said. I don't know how I would come up with a question, but maybe, Wednesday, I definitely will give away a pair of of Oakley sunglasses. And all you have to do is listen to the show. And then when you listen to the show, I'm going to have a question at the end of the show. answer the question by sending it to my website at howardeskin.com in the contact page. But you know what? I'll say I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared with a question. So we'll save those classes for Wednesday. But thanks for listening to the Howard Eskin Show. And thanks for being there wherever you may be in the country and out of the country, as it turns out. Thanks. And thanks to Frank Caliendo. May 18th at Helium Comedy Club. You know, Frank does the balls, but that's okay. That's all right, Frank. You're allowed to do it because everybody does that. Have a great weekend if you're watching this on Saturday. Whenever you watch it, have a great day. Thanks for